Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms. I'm joined here by super fans. I'm trying to keep my super fans, Heath and Riley Goldman. And this is the week 16 recap of Jungle Talk. And man, this was supposed to be like a celebratory hat, not a dunce cap, but instead it feels like a dunce cap. But there's no victory horn, obviously. There's little bit for me of Glenn Levitt. I got myself a really nice ice cube there, and then the hardest thing for me was watching this game and not drinking. I won't drink until after we do these videos. Hmm. But at least it's top shelf scotch. Okay, I didn't. I decided not to cheat myself. So, God,
Why the Bengals cheated us? Why shouldn't you cheat yourself now?
because I shouldn't cheat myself just because they cheated me. Your wife cheats on you doesn't mean you have to cheat yourself. Go hit yourself. So, all right. First, before I forget, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask. It's a show by fans for fans. That's all the channel's been. It's always been that. It always will be that. So we only ask you to support the channel. And Riley, tell them where they can find you because you're growing your Twitter account now, or the app formerly known as Twitter. Tell them where they can find you on X.
At sportsball with three L's at the end. Haven't posted in a minute. Been focusing on a photography Instagram. I'm trying to grow, so trying to get back in the swing of
All
things.
right.
Right, how do we find you on Instagram?
Riley G _ photos there.
There you go.
And I've sports photos I've taken coming in. Actually, I'm posting today. But
So this was I'm going to give you some positives at the end, but they have nothing to do with this game. But this was just tougher in the beginning. Second play of the game for the Steelers, and we get it. We take ourselves out. All the DBs collide into one another, and there it is, the 7-0. And then we drive all the way downfield, and this was probably the biggest play of the game for me because it kind of set the tone. Not getting 3 points on that drive. Browning just needs to throw it away. I don't know. I've looked at that replay 3 times. I don't know what he was looking at in the corner of the end zone. There was no receiver looking at him. There were 4 Steelers in the corner. I don't know why he's throwing that ball. And that, to me, that was the biggest thing because then they come back and they score, and now we're down 14. But had it been 7-3, it just changes the whole sequence of things. It's hard when you start a game like that. I mean, we pulled a few out of the fire here, but all the talk, and we'll get into that. I'm going to save that for one of my positives. So, but it was just tough. I mean, everything about this game was difficult. And I don't think was our game plan to come in and throw screen passes? Was that Zach's big scheme?
it looked like it.
I mean,
I'm not sure if that was the game plan or that was just what was finally given and that's what he was taking.
In the beginning of the game, he didn't. We just dumped it off short and got stopped, and
well,
it seemed like
it's worked for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and I think that's what he went back to doing. And we almost thought that this coaching staff was capable of game planning and making adjustments. I will tell you, the defense was an atrocity today. I don't know what Browning was doing. I'm so furious. You watch that game, you're 4th in inches, and you throw a fade route to the corner of the end zone that wasn't even open. You can't gain 2 inches on 2 running plays.
I'm going to take you back to that whole beginning of that set because the Browning doesn't put the ball in a place where the receiver can do anything with it. So we get down to where we're 2nd and short, and what's our 3rd down play? It's to throw it behind Irwin with Porter covering him. So I didn't like the 2nd down play. And then the 3rd down play, we run it and we're short, and then he challenges it. So it was like, first of all, waste, bad challenge, bad call, but just pound the ball 3 straight times. And we get 1st down. Answering before halftime would have been a big thing. It would have been 21-7, and instead we go down 24-7. So it was just like I said, I questioned a lot of the play calling today, especially those sequences. And then Browning, he should have had 3 more interceptions today. He threw across his body over the middle with 3 Steelers in the middle of the field. The last interception, there's 4 Steelers in the middle of the field go anywhere but there.
Riley
I
said,
mean, that's the little honey hole right there. They're all there, and he throws it right in the middle of them. And I was like, there's got to be a better pass. The fourth down play where Browning throws it, the long ball to T. Higgins. I mean, that is such a low percentage. I know he completed a similar pass later on, but that's just the decision making. So I got to give something positive. We got to talk people off the ledge.
I
You know
can't
what?
wait to hear this.
You know one thing positive
But the
is
only positive thing is Riley and I in Vegas together. That's
yeah,
it.
oh, and I'm sorry about I know that you guys got double whammy today because you watched Arizona lose in double overtime. So you travel all the way there and to lose to you played what, the Crimson Tide?
No, we played FAU, top 11 team in the country. I mean, they're a hell of a ball team.
No, but you were
14.
there and it's
But,
nice to get the W.
all right, so
But
what's
all
your
right, so you
positive?
ready
Tell
for
me
my
something
positive
positive.
thing? Here you go. If you've been on Facebook, how many posts have you seen over the last 3 weeks? So when Browning takes us to the playoffs, I say we cut Burrow loose. And I don't even respond to him because it's just so stupid. Browning has proven that he's been a good backup. He is I feel much better about our backup quarterback position going into next year. And we also, with games like this, Browning's not going anywhere. He's going to be on the team next year as our backup. But how many times it's like, no, Burrow puts the ball where receivers can catch it and advance with it. Burrow's thought process is so much better under pressure. I mean, there were times where I was like, Browning, why don't you just run with the ball? Just roll outside and run. And instead, he'd go back and throw it across his body. His decision making's not there. So, no more. We don't ever have to see another let's cut Joe Burrow loose after the end of the year Facebook post. It'll just won't happen again. So, that's one positive. You won't hear that anymore. Okay.
Riley says he has one.
I've got a few more nuggets for us, and they're along a similar vein. So, go ahead, Riley.
My one positive for the game is the fact that we got Yoshi 4 catches today.
Yes.
And they were only for 36 yards, but without Chase in there, we don't know if we're keeping T next year. We're probably not. We needed to see what our rookies
We want to keep him, but we probably can't afford him. So
exactly. Finally, we got him some touches. He makes decent catches. He can make contested catches, which is what T's job is. So we have a viable option to replace. I'm not saying replace because he's the number one option in this league.
But it's another person in the receiver room that could step up. Yeah, no. And here, I'm glad you brought up Yoshi. Okay, so in that play where he gets the call overturned, Browning, you run up to the goddamn line and you run a freaking play. I don't care if you just sneak it for 2 yards. He took the play clock down to 15 seconds, and then Tomlin throws the challenge flag. The whole time I'm screaming at the he's running around, audibilizing and changing everything. That's the game awareness that Browning doesn't possess, which is another reason why the cutting Burrow comments just stop. Okay, Browning's not that. He had a nice 3-game run. I think Devin texted that it was like a pumpkin. It became midnight, and he just turned back into a pumpkin in our text thread. But yeah, I'm screaming at my TV to run a play, and he had 15 seconds to run a play, and he didn't. So, like I said, it's little stuff like that, throwing it behind receivers. There was one play where he stepped up in the pocket. He was not rushed at all. He goes to throw it to Joe Mixon. He throws it behind him. Joe Mixon's a stationary target in the middle of the field.
Let's talk about 2 huge negatives. Then we could talk about negatives all day long, and I'm almost done talking it all.
Right.
Jonah Williams got destroyed today. Now, TJ Watt is a future Hall of Famer. I get it. But you knew that coming into the game. Why don't we have some help out there? And by the way, Devin made a comment the other day about Highsmith. He absolutely made Orlando Brown Jr. look like a rookie. We paid him huge money to come in and protect that left side, and he got destroyed today as well.
So, like I said, this team had their back. The Steelers had their back up against the wall. Tomlin, they came out, like I said, gunning for us. I thought we would take advantage immediately of the lack of the 2 safeties. I really thought they would scheme up something. And we just you saw when we went downfield deep, we had success, but we just spent we were in a 21-point hole before we started trying to air the ball out. So I question the game. We've talked about team wins throughout this. This was a team loss.
No, no, no. This
Coaches
wasn't
let
a
us.
team loss. I disagree with you.
No,
This was an organization loss because the team is the players on the field. This was an entire organization.
okay. I'm trying to give blame because the defense didn't step up. The defense, there were just so many plays they just did not make. It is what it is. I know there's a 20% chance we make the postseason. Guys, we're not making the postseason. This team has none of the tiebreakers. We're 0-5 in division. We just won a handful of AFC games in the conference. This is another conference loss. I mean, there's just no tiebreaker that falls our way. And the best we could be is a 10-win team. You know, a nice run. But we're going to go back to a couple positives now. We're going to probably have the last place schedule because we would lose any tiebreaker. Should the Steelers and the Bengals finish tied, we're going to have the last place schedule having lost both. And, and we'll get a top 20 draft pick by not making the playoffs. We'll be in the, top portion of the draft, at least the top half of the draft. So
the thing that scares me about this team right now and this organization, unfortunately, we just gave Burrow huge money. We don't have a lot of money left to sign. This team, when you really look at it on paper, has a lot of holes. Everybody talks about our window closing, and I don't want to say that, but Burrow did no favors for this organization on that contract that he took.
No, and that's where you're wrong. We are actually 6th in the most amount of cap space going into next year. So we do have money to spend.
No, I'm not saying we may have money to spend. Look at the holes we have to fill, though.
Right, but we're the 6th most cap space going into next
Wait and
year.
see. And you know who's also experiencing this right now? Finally, the Chiefs are experiencing this too. Not being able to giving Jones his money and Mahomes his money. It's these quarterbacks are due big money. I get it, but the league has just gone bonkers.
Well, we have money to spend. We do have a viable offensive line. We have a young secondary that didn't step up today. We were missing CTB. We're going to be missing CTB next week. I did the math. He was put on the injured reserve right before the Jacksonville game on Monday night. So that Jacksonville game was game 1. This was his 3rd game out. He has to miss the Chiefs game next week. So no Cam Taylor-Britt next week. But coming back next year, we've got young safeties. Like I said, I'm not the doom and gloom you are for next season. And I'm telling you, we have the cap space. We have, horses in the barn, but we need Burrow back there. I mean, you saw it in the playoffs. Things are going to ramp up, and Browning has shown that he doesn't make the good decisions, and he certainly is not Burrow in the ball placement. But I feel a lot better about Browning going into next year as our backup. Coming into this preseason, I was very down on him because we saw him and Trevor Siemian, and they were both like neutered dogs out there. They couldn't do anything. So you want another positive? See, I tried to come up with, I sat there at halftime going, what can I say that's not gonna, because it's the holidays. Okay. What can I say? We didn't have to listen to Chris Collinsworth this whole game. That's a huge positive. So I don't like our announcers, but at least we didn't have to listen to Collinsworth coo about Najee Harris and Pickens. And, sometimes it's just, I loved him as a player. I really, I can only take him in small doses.
So Riley and I got to watch the first half on the phone at the basketball game, came back and went into the bar and had, some lunch finally. And there was no volume on at the bar. So we literally the last 2.5 minutes is when we got back to the room to watch anybody with any volume with an announcer. So
it was Todd Blackledge and somebody else. It wasn't, like I said, but to me, that was a plus, not having to listen to Collinsworth. So,
all right, can we wish everybody a Merry Christmas who celebrates and a Happy New Year and just end this thing?
Yes, we can. So I'm trying to see if there was anything else. The draft pick I talked about, Facebook I talked about, and then everything else is bad about coaching and all that. So just question from the get-go, I questioned the play calling. I didn't understand the scheme. I didn't think we had a scheme. I thought he would just try what worked the last few weeks. This was a game. And then they said one of the things the announcer said, you didn't hear this because you were eating lunch, but one of the things he said was, Zach Taylor talked about how this was a must win, how important it was to get this game. And I thought, you sure didn't drop a game plan like you thought that. We should have been sending, when we were down 14-0, we should have been sending heavy pressure the whole time. We never, ever forced Mason Rudolph into a bad decision. We just didn't.
3rd and 10 from about their own 15-yard line towards the end of the first half, and we end up bringing almost no pressure, and they end up putting it on the left sideline, and it just rolled us at that point. It just
and one last negative, and Riley's going to nod his head on this one. Awuzie's done. I mean, he's just not the Awuzie we knew. I was really looking forward to having the Awuzie before his injury and CTB together, and it's just never going to happen. And Awuzie is done. So
Even
you just watched him getting burned, and it was like, when it was 24-8, we came out, we got the stop, we scored a touchdown, we got the 2 points. You can't give up a touchdown. Awuzie cannot let Pickens get behind him and give up a touchdown right away. That was our chance to kind of get back in the game, was get off the field on that 3rd down, and instead he gave up the touchdown to Pickens.
Somehow my son decided he was going to pick Pickens in one of our fantasy leagues. First time I've ever done fantasy. So Riley and I did it together. Essentially, he did it, and we picked Pickens. You haven't heard that guy's name all year. All of a sudden today, he decides to become an all-star.
Did you start him?
We're out of the league.
Oh, you're already out. Okay. I'm in the playoffs. I started mixing, but I'm probably going to be losing. I won't be making the Super Bowl next week. So I also had Cooper Cup on Thursday, which wasn't a good start. So yeah, it's
all right, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy New Year. Let's just end this misery.
If you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask. We do previews before. We do recaps right after. Even when it's bad news, we still man up and do these shows. I thank you guys for joining me all the way from Las Vegas. What's the plan for the rest of the day? Give us something good.
We're gonna go have a little dinner somewhere, and we'll head back to LA tomorrow.
Okay,
easy drive. I mean, it's like a 4-hour drive. It's like by the time you get to the airport and fly and then get back to the cab, it's not that much difference. I mean, and it's a little father-son time. He's just home from college, and it was fun to hang out and talk the whole way.
I'm a big fan of the of flying out.
Yeah, of course. 40 minutes. We didn't decide to do this until last minute.
No, it's okay. It's all good. So for me,
all right, everybody,
I got one speeding ticket in Baker, and I pays for my plane ticket and my parking. So, all right. So, hey, happy holidays, everybody. We will see you next week before our Chiefs game. We'll do a preview, and everybody be safe and Merry Christmas and happy holidays, everybody. Hoo day.